Yeah, I think you know that I'm not afraid to break a few eggs. And that could apply to a lot of different aspects of coaching. Um, but you know, there's a few cases, right? So there's the case of where this is maybe something that is more relevant, I would say, in the mind body domain than the broad coaching domain, only because that there are insights and lessons that can be embodied, that you can't cognize. It's not about getting it. It's not about grokking it. It's not that there's an idea that you just need to grasp, and then once you grasp it, life changes. There's a lot of skills that need to be lived, felt, and either cultivated or mastered for that insight to take root. And I think that, whatever we do with this recording, people listening to this will either get that immediately because they've also felt it, or they won't. And this is the divide. Like, that's the problem, right? And it's hard to even talk about without either sounding a little bit arrogant or, yeah, there's different levels to the game and saying that. But there are that there, I mean, I remember well, 30 years ago in martial arts class, there'd be the occasional guy coming in as a white belt thinking he knew some stuff. Um, and the black belt across has got all this experience and knowledge, and um, you can't even have a conversation. It's like the level of delusion in the white belt's head is completely, um, it'll completely destroy any level of mutual understanding, until that person is humbled and realizes, yeah, none of this is true. And then there's a starting point. But so for me, the question is, in times like that, where there is a clear and present capacity issue or experience issue, I'm so impatient, and I don't give a fuck. It's like, yeah, we can't talk about this. You literally need to go do 1,000 squats. You literally need to go practice this process of this diet. You need to go do X many hours of this type of breath work or meditation. Then let's have another conversation. And that's not a very sexy place to start. And it definitely creates kind of a status differential. But, I don't know, like, when you put it in the context of sports or performance or business or any of these other domains, it's like, you don't really want advice from people that haven't done what you're trying to do. Like, you go to the expert, you don't want to be coached by somebody that just is willing to give you a platform for your ideas. If you're both beginners, like, you want the master coach, right? Or the entrepreneur, you want the guy that's done it, helping you filter the bullshit that's going on in your head, and market dynamics. And, you know, there's a million things that can go wrong, and they might not be able to tell you what can go right, but most people with experience can at least help you identify the 99 things you shouldn't do. Right. um and for me, that's always been, I think that's been in my blood, because I started training quite young, and I was through that system where, yeah, your voice and opinion don't really matter yet. Like, you got to do the work, and that was a process of years, not just weeks or months or whatever else. And so I think, um yeah, so I think there's a really important place for, like you had said, kind of telling the client, yeah, look, you're just bored. Like, let's not waste 3 weeks here. You're just fucking bored. It's not burnout, and, like, let's cut it. And but also, it's not just about
And
knowing,
it
but
was
it's
like
also
a
maybe,
dream bigger. That's what that was about, is like, stop trying to
yeah,
create what you've already done.
yeah,
Let's do something completely different.
yeah. And also having trust in the client to say, I don't own you. I'm collaborating with you in this process. I'm giving you my opinion. So you still, you need to decipher, you need to see how that feels when I say that you're just bored. You'd have to filter that, process that. It's not about belief or not belief, but I'm presenting an alternative perspective here, and you can take it or leave it. Um, but I also think there's a level of kind of respect and confidence in the client or the coachee in those cases to say, yeah, they can handle it. I mean, this is part of the process. They don't need to agree and we can have back and forth, but I have a hard time because I'm not a psychologist and I'm not a therapist. And so I don't want to put myself in that category where I'm trying to delicately maneuver um, somebody's psyche. It's like and like I said, I've broken some eggs, plenty, and we'll break some more. But I also want to have the faith and confidence in the person I'm talking to navigate their world, right? I mean, yeah. That's one point of conflict, I think, is the well, maybe that's two, but the capacity one, and saying that there is, I think some people will get this right away and some people won't, but in some cases, certain insights that we are after need to be earned. And I think if you can steer them in that direction, that's very helpful. But the conversation is useless until they do it. There is stuff in that cat. Like, I'll give you a specific example. It's not the sexiest, but it comes up all the time, which is that I've heard from clients about their nutrition, that they know their bodies. They know they should and shouldn't do certain things that might be on a weightlessness prescription. And I've heard from other people that I know my body and what I can do. And they've said this while they've been injured or have had clear aches and pains and issues that you're just like, yeah, but clearly not. I mean, you'd fix it, right? I mean, how can this wisdom and this self-knowledge that you've got about your body is not translating into health? It tells you what not to do in terms of productive work, but you can't fix anything. I mean, this doesn't make sense. And the same thing with diet. We're hardwired for simple pleasures and simple sugars, no matter how much we want to deny those impulses. Like your body will always gravitate towards simple sugar. We are absolutely hardwired for it. And the people that say, no, I know what my body needs. Well, maybe there are those few people that have been through a lot of enough experience to essentially be able to really be acutely sensitive to nourishing foods. Their digestive tract is empty, so they can feel what happens when high quality food hits their system very quickly. But for most of us, it's a process of trial and what do we call it? Just looking at cause and effect over time, right? So we might not be able to tell the impact of the sugar today, but what happens in 2 to 3 weeks when I sustain that? Am I willing to test going overboard for 3 weeks and really observing that process? Am I willing to test eating on this type of a prescription for 3 to 4 weeks and really observing what happens internally? How does my the clarity of my mind shift? How does the body composition shift, general energy, overall performance? How do these things shift? Because this isn't a process that happens in a couple of days. And so what does it mean? I know my body. Okay. But do you know your body for the next 3 days or do you know it for the next 8 weeks? Because it's not the same thing. Um, and I think there's that element that's really counterintuitive. And this, oddly enough, and this was another point that I didn't talk about on the balance talk that we had, was that these two elements of enjoying ease and peace and life balance versus efforting and experiencing internal and external resistances when we're trying to train or develop new skills or prepare for something that we're not. Our system is also broken down into two antithetical nervous systems. It's one, but they've got but we've got elements where we're charged and elements where we're at rest and healing, and the hormone profiles, the neural stimulation, the level and potential of mind body awareness throughout those experiences is dramatically different. And yeah, and both can be augmented, both can be trained, right? The capacity to heal and rest and upregulate your parasympathetic system is one that can be developed through meditation and certain relaxation practices. And then the other one can be developed through higher stress environments and performance. And so, but I think my point being that what we feel in those moments where we're comfortable and relaxed, like when I say I know my body and I know myself, there's a few selves at play here. And which self are we talking
Just
about? Because
one.
the what's that?
Yeah, it's not just one.
Yeah. And the self that might feel like, yeah, this feels right for now, might be the inputs that are making you feel calm and relaxed and, at ease. And the reality is pursuing those will make you more fragile over time, right? You need to enter that other domain to really increase maybe the breadth of your experiences where you feel at ease. You need those acute triggers to be able to upgrade your system for those.